When Conor McGregor does something, he does it from the point of view of where there's a camera stared at him. Like when he walks, when he talks, he structures his sentences to talk as if somebody's going to take a film of it and redistribute it. And you have to do the same thing. He acts as if there's a camera trying to make him go viral. And that's how podcasters should talk. So you have to literally structure your sentences in a way. You know what copywriting is? Copywriting is structuring. It's an extremely difficult skill. It's a very difficult skill. Most people think they're good copywriters. They're not. It's a very difficult skill. And all copywriting is all about structuring your words and sentences in a way where something can be sold efficiently, right? And so this is something I try to coin: copy talking or copy speaking. So what you have to try to do is modify the way you talk into copy speaking. Now, you don't want to overdo it because it's kind of like weird, like why are you always trying to sell? That's weird. But like in certain areas where if you're doing a podcast, you're in a business meeting, you're trying to pitch something, you have to use something called copy speaking. So copy speaking is like the alternative copywriting where you structure your words in a way where something can be sold. So the master at this is Tai Lopez. Absolute master. When Tai Lopez is in a podcast or interview, he's always doing it. Like, I wish Tai Lopez, he was like more straightforward about it. Like, he's not straightforward about it. It's like, Tai, you're talking in a way where something could be sold, where like he'll slowly be like, yeah, I used to work with this 100 billionaire, or yeah, I spent $40 million on ads. That's copy speaking. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're trying to
mean that he's lying, right?
No, I'm not saying he's a liar. Copy speaking isn't about lying at all. But you structure things in a way where you maximize the sale of what you're talking about. So I think Tai Lopez has been selling for so long that he doesn't even try to copy speak anymore. He's just copy speaking. Like, his copy speaking is part of his persona.
Kind of like a Grant Cardone as well.
Yeah, like, it's slowly, because I'm a marketer, it's slowly becoming onto me as well. Where, like, when I talk to somebody in a casual conversation, I will literally structure it in a way where it really emphasizes and sells my point. So, like, even when you're a marketer, you're slowly programming yourself to talk in a way where you're, like, selling what you have to say. That's what I call copy speaking. I don't think there's a term for it. People just say, like, sales talk or, like, salesmanship or salespersonship, but I call it copy speaking. I think it's a great term that hopefully I can popularize.
I think I'm good at telling stories in that way. Like, when I'm telling a story, I for some reason know exactly what to emphasize to make sure everybody's like, oh, that's a great story.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like, all I did was emphasize this specific part of the story and this specific part of the story. So I guess it's actually a pretty good, like...
You might actually be, but I'm just saying in general, I think everybody thinks they're a good copy speaker.
Yeah,
but the thing is, everybody is a good copy speaker with their family or with their friends. Because, let me explain, you understand the wavelengths of your friends and family.
You know how to get them hyped.
Right.
Yeah.
But the true copy speakers like Tai Lopez, they know how to copy speak all the time to the masses. That's actual legitimate skill. For example, like, copy speaking with your friends is so easy. Like, I know exactly what to tell you to sell the point. Yeah. But if we go to a random stranger, that is not easy to copy speak. Now, of course, you don't want to be the type of person that's copy speaking all the time to everyone. That's weird. Don't be that guy. Nobody wants that. Like, even when you're with your friends, like, dude, stop trying to sell me. Like, that's not real friendship if you're just being sold to all the time by the opposite person. But, like, in certain circumstances, in business meetings and business environments, when you're with clients, maybe podcasting, you're marketing, you're YouTubing, like, you want to become a good copy speaker. Another master of this is Jake Paul. Copy speaking and copy event planning. Like, he'll structure events in a certain way to make it, like, really appealing to the masses. David Dobrik is this way, where, like, he not a copy speaker, but, like, he's a copy.
He structures his videos.
I guess he's a copy event planner, where, like, he's so good at structuring moments so it'll, like, be sold to the masses at a high level. That's why he's such a good vlogger. Anybody can do what David Dobrik does from a surface level, but what people don't understand, he's a great, I guess we could call it a copy event planner, where he can structure things extremely well that it can be sold very well. And everybody thinks it's such an easy thing to do, but David Dobrik, he's extremely talented at it, and he probably doesn't even realize it, or he's too humble to, like, talk about it. So it's an extremely difficult skill to ape or copy. If you try vlogging, like, it's so hard to structure moments.
He probably has tens of and maybe 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week of video that he bogs down into a 4-minute video.
Yeah.
Like, he literally probably records every moment of his life, and then somebody goes, wow, this was the most exciting part, let's just put it in the video.
His level of judgment for copy event planning, as I call it, is very high. It's a lot of practice, but he's extremely talented at it. He's just born with it. Like, he has a DNA for it, where, like, he's extremely comfortable and he has a very high level of judgment of how to structure content. Whereas on YouTube, when David was popularized, everybody tried to stretch out their content to make it 10 minutes plus.
And he was like, see you later.
To maximize profits. David is like, he had the judgment to say, I'm going to forego short-term money and create such high-level content that, like, I'm not even going to do profit maximize by making it over 10 minutes. He doesn't even monetize the videos. Every creator needs to focus on that. That has to be the end goal, because it's like,
getting people to pay for you.
Unless you're Graham Stefan. Unless you're always family friendly, like Graham Stefan, he'll easily do 6 figures a month in AdSense. Easily. And as a paid advertiser, I know how much money it costs to advertise on his videos. Like, A lot, man. Like, it's very expensive. Like, dude, you would
So the
pay.
general like finance blanket really is like one of the more expensive.
It's not
ones,
about
right?
finance. Let me
What is it
explain.
really?
So it's like this. Let me explain how this works because nobody understands how this works. And I'm actually like a serious professional in the matter. I work with several multi-million-dollar companies where I manage paid advertising. I understand this stuff. Okay, I literally talk to people and they say, "Oh, the CPA and the CPM of the this and that." It's like, bro, stop. You kind of know the pieces, but you don't really.
Everyone
understand.
kind of knows,
Yeah,
but
and
no one actually pays for it.
Let me explain how it works. Advertisers, Google's advertising system, videos. Okay, it's not about finance. It's about the people who are watching the finance videos and the topic. The point of the advertiser isn't to advertise on finance niches. That's not the point. The point is to sell their product or service. And the type of people who watch Graham Stefan's videos
Spend more money
are
on stuff like that.
not only that, they're in the mood, they're in the affinity to buy stock software.
Yeah.
So stock software is extremely high ticket and profitable. You're not going to advertise stock software on a cooking video. Not because people who are watching a cooking video, they're not in the mood or affinity to buy stock software.
Yeah.
But when you're watching Graham Stefan, you're in the mood to check out Webull. And dude, like, that's what it works. It's not that they want to advertise on the finance niche. In fact, advertisers want to advertise on the cheapest niche possible. That's where they want to advertise. But the thing is, the people who watch Graham Stefan's videos at the right time, at the right place, in the right mood, are the ones who are going to buy stock software, are the ones who are going to invest in financial software, are the ones who are going to buy in real estate
Those
investing.
are just more expensive, like things to begin with.
Very expensive.
Yeah, those are just more expensive.
And
but-
so these advertisers can afford to pay $5 a click on a Graham Stefan video.
because one person who actually buys it will make up for thousands of people clicking.
Yes, think about it. 100 clicks on a Graham Stefan ad is like $500 sometimes. Do you understand how expensive that is?
No, I wouldn't understand it like from your point of view. I understand it from like person who needs to like advertise to do business. $5 a click for me, like in real estate, I get leads for $5. If I had to spend $5 just for someone to click, it would be an astronomical price. Like my leads would cost $500-$600 each.
Yeah, the amount of advertising money that goes inside these people's videos is insane. Like, there's a reason why Graham, Meet Kevin, they make 6 figures a month in ad revenue sometimes because, and by the way, Google keeps half of it. So if Meet Kevin makes $500,000 in AdSense or whatever it is, I might be using hyperbole. Let's say they make $100K a month, some months. That means that's about $200K in advertising, dude. Because Google takes half and Graham takes half. That's $200K if Graham is making $100K, dude.
That's a lot of money.
And like, what type of so he gets business gurus? Business gurus sell courses that have huge profit margins. So like they can afford to advertise on Graham Stefan's. But you gotta understand something. Like these advertisers would love to advertise on a gaming channel that's super, super cheap. But what's the problem? If you're watching a Call of Duty video, are you in the mood to invest in real estate?
No.
No.
And I'm in the mood to invest in real estate, and I don't watch Call of Duty videos at all.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
like you're a perfect
Yeah.
analogy or metaphor of why people target Meet Kevin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we're super interested in real estate. We're super interested in Bitcoin. We're super interested in advertising. And guess what channels we watch? We watch like, you know, other general entertaining
The channels that
channels.
sell the expensive software.
But we spend a lot of time watching like business YouTubers, like this stuff like that. So it's not that advertisers want to focus on the finance niche. That's where they're getting money. If advertisers can focus on the gaming niche where the clicks are super cheap, they'll focus on the gaming niche. No one's buying though.
Interesting. Let's stay on the topic of Graham Stefan, right? So he recently posted a couple videos. Let's talk about, I guess, real estate, right? Because we've been going back and forth with finance, real estate. So real estate, I guess, is one of those niches as well, where a lead could be $100, right? So for any type of software, for anything, right? So Graham Stefan's opinion on the real estate market currently, I have a lot to say about it, right? I'm not so sure if everybody understands kind of what's going on with the real estate market, but Graham Stefan's video was super detailed and super interesting, and I just want to go over it, right?
Okay.
So I don't know if you watched the video, right? So there's what I would say a real estate pandemic going on right after the actual pandemic, and what's happening right now is you want to buy a house and the house is worth $500,000, but for some reason, and there's a multitude of issues here, for some reason that $500,000 house is going to sell for like $575,000. So you're going to go and you're going to offer 500. I'm going to go and offer 515, and then you're going to come back at 520, and then some random from left field is going to come in. No, actually, I'm going 550, 575. So something like this has not happened in years. Like 2008, this wasn't even happening, right? So Graham Stefan, he did some research, and I think this is super interesting, where he noticed that there are larger real estate companies coming in and just sweeping the market of real estate. So you have a company like Fundrise, for instance, right, where they come into the market and there's a whole neighborhood that was built by, like, let's say a Toll Brothers or somebody of that stature, right, with people who just do large community scale real estate. They come in and buy the whole thing. And they say, you know what, I'm buying the whole thing for $600,000 a house. Meanwhile, if you sold the house to a regular person, it would have been $520,000. So the pandemic really for the housing market is everybody wants real estate now because there's so much on the market. So people are willing to just say, I'll pay whatever I can for it. Its effect on the economy is going to be absolutely tragic because the economy is very closely tied to the real estate market. And what happens now is you're going to go, and next year when you have no more buyers, there's going to be either a lot of houses on the market with no buyers, or all the people who want to buy a house now, who are competing to buy a house, are going to go, and there's going to be no houses. So you're going to be stuck with a lot of people with money in their hand with nothing to do with it, or you're going to be stuck with no more houses for anyone to buy.
The government lowered interest rates to incentivize more cash infusion. Okay, so that's the deal. Graham Stefan thinks there's going to be economic turmoil because why exactly?
So Graham Stefan is on the same page, but he's also defending that there will not be economic turmoil.
Okay.
So even though these big companies, right, are buying up large amounts of real estate, he's saying it's actually making up for a smaller fraction, even though it looks glorious to say so on the news. Like when a company like Fundrise, for instance, goes in and buys $600 million worth of real estate, it sounds like they're buying a lot of real estate, but it's a drop in the bucket compared to how much real estate there really is. So that company is not going after a neighborhood in Staten Island and saying, oh, by the way, I'm taking all these houses from you. So he's defending it, and I don't disagree with him, but I do disagree with him where it's like, maybe it's not their fault, the institutional investor, it's not their fault that the economy is going to be going to crap, but there is other forces in the market where it's going to get shaky. Right now, you were about to explain what your opinion, I guess, on macroeconomics in general with this type of system.
I don't understand anything about macroeconomics. I don't think anybody understands macroeconomics. I think if people understood macroeconomics, we would be living in paradise and utopia. Macroeconomics is impossible to understand. It's not fair to call it a science because macroeconomics is like it's so massive and ever changing that I don't think that unless you're a super genius, I don't think nobody truly understands macroeconomics. Microeconomics is easy. It's like, okay, what is the economics of this neighborhood, of this town? Like you can test things and you can talk to people. Macroeconomics, I don't think a single president understands macroeconomics at all, ever. That's why we have recessions. If people understood macroeconomics, recessions wouldn't happen.
So there's actually, I guess, a good counter argument to that, right? Where I agree. If people understood macroeconomics better, there would be less recessions. But there is something to say about the last 12 years, because 12 years is overdue for a real recession. That's not outside source, right? Like a pandemic causes a recession, but if there was no pandemic, would there have been a recession, right? So I think whoever, not giving credit to any president and not blaming any president, but whatever combination of presidents, pre-Obama and post-Obama and during Obama, it seems like they knew what they were doing. Because post-pandemic, I think I'm spending more money than I ever spent in my life.
Dude, I don't think it's too hard to say, like, if we could have X president, Y president,
well, yeah.
You never know what's going to happen.
To be fair, the president doesn't change the macro economy regardless.
Let's focus on solutions. Plus, the president can only control America and whatever. Like, he's not going to control Japan. Like, Japan could do something that, it's impossible, dude. Only God understands macroeconomics. Like, nobody else understands. But let me just say this. We could talk about recessions. First of all, I'm not 100% sure, but I think recessions are an opinion. Like, there isn't a mathematical formula for recession. It's just an opinion. And now we're so political, no president is going to say we're in a recession because they're going to lose those votes. So, like, nobody's saying we're in a recession or going to be in a recession because nobody wants to lose the vote because it's not a mathematical formula. It's an opinion, I think. Don't quote me on this.
So there's also the possibility where it's like, okay, it may be a recession for 50% of the people. Like, actually a recession for 50% of the people. But the other 50% of the people, and not saying I'm in or not in this group, but the other 50% of the people might have money saved up where they take advantage of that recession. So is it a recession or is stuff just on sale? So you're right. I agree. What I'm saying is I agree with you. It is. I think I never looked at it that way. But yes, now that I'm investing consistently and I'm looking at finances from a growth perspective, a recession is really just a way that I can play with money a little bit more.
So
I never looked at it.
A recession isn't this blanket thing that happens to everybody. We're in a recession, everybody go down. No. Generally speaking, a lot of rich people love recessions. So like, let's stop talking like a recession is this thing where everybody gets pulled down. It's not. It's not like the weather. You know, it's not this blanket.
Well, yeah, I think the general state of the economy is going down, but the individual doesn't make up the general state of the economy, right? So like, even if 75% of the people are losing monetary value, if 25% of people are gaining monetary value, yeah, it's a recession, but it's not for everybody a recession.
You're going to find people who are negatively affected. There's plenty of people who are getting positive. If you work in tech, you're not in this recession if you work in tech.
As much as you harp on me for my very not innovative construction management type job that I usually have.
I don't harp on you. I appreciate your work.
Yeah, no. There is something to say in the same where it's like, okay, I am a construction manager in infrastructure, and all of a sudden the pandemic now causes the infrastructure budget to go through the roof, and I could literally never stop working, like for the next 10 years now.
Yeah, that's a
so
thing.
Like you might have had a bad year, but it bounces back, and now it may bounce back because whoever the president is decided to do this. But if there were no jobs for a whole year in any sector, you got to catch up. So how do you catch up, right? Like,
you got to be solutions oriented. Okay. There's always going to be a bad economy. There's always going to be a good economy. There's always going to be somewhere in the middle. It's going to be good for some. It's going to be bad for some. Okay? Your goal, there's two types of people that you can generalize. There's under the economy and there's over the economy. People under the economy are always going to be negatively affected by a bad economy. People over the economy generally will be fine.
Can you define for everyone listening and also myself?
This isn't an exact economic term. This is just something I made to copy speak.
I kind of understand, but I need like you to explain what I'm understanding is correct.
So, for example, like the easiest people who are over the economy are people who are wealthy. So people who are wealthy and diversified, they're over the economy. Because if something goes bad here, something goes bad there, since they're over the economy, they're still going to be fine financially, and they can take advantage of a poor economy because they have more leverage with their finances.
I see what you're saying.
So those are people over the economy. People under the economy are people who are not diversified, people who don't have elite skills or very strong skills. So if the economy goes down, they'll go down. People over the economy are diversified, have a lot of liquidity. So even if something happens to their real estate, they'll buy real estate somewhere else. Even if something happens to their insurance business, they still have a construction business. So if you want to be over the economy, you want to have a lot of liquidity, and you want to be over the economy. And people under the economy are not diversified and don't have a lot of liquidity. So those people will generally be negatively affected by recession. So there's always going to be recessions. There's going to be a recession here. There's going to be a recession there. There's going to be a boom down here. Like right now, blockchain industry is having a boom. There's no recession in the blockchain industry, I think. Right?
Yeah, so maybe for the price of crypto, there's a minor baby setback, but it doesn't mean that people with blockchain jobs are ever going to lose in the next 10 years.
People who know AI, who understand blockchain, who understand AI, people who are great at advertising, they're doing just fine.
So I want to go back on your diversification point, right? And now, to a lot of people, this will seem like a no-brainer that I'm going to say this, but I don't know how this is coming about. But I've read in multiple places now, maybe I'm just clicking so many links about it because I'm interested in it, that people who are more diversified and people who then tend to have a little more money, apparently there's a general rule of thumb when you get into the higher net worth where they hold almost 20% of their net worth in art. Now, obviously, we all know that people buy art, expensive art.
20?
Yeah. So I was reading this multiple times. Like people.
Where'd you read it from?
Whatever news I get, The Economist and like Bloomberg News. So like, all right, maybe not The Economist, but Bloomberg is pretty legit, right?
Yeah, it's legit, but Bloomberg, I think these big media companies overgeneralize to get clicks.
Yeah, of course. No, it wasn't on like a headline. It was like part of the. So the whole point I'm trying to make, regardless if it's 10 or 20%, apparently art, right, as an investment. Now, art as an investment is almost impossible to invest in unless you have multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest. The average return for a piece of like fine art is almost double what the stock market is. And people like me and you, right now, where our net worths are only in the potential six figures, right? You can't get in. Like you cannot get into that market because it doesn't exist for you. But when you have 7 and 8 figures, and all of a sudden you don't know what to do with that $1 million you have in the bank, if you buy a piece of art, next year it's worth $1.2 million, right? Almost always. And to me, I was amazed when I saw what they were saying. I was like, all right, so now I know if I ever get rich, what I'm putting a portion of my money in. I just thought it was fascinating, right?
Yeah, I know a lot of rich people.
Yeah.
They definitely have a lot of antique. Oh well, they have a lot of antiques.
Yeah, that counts
which
as
is art.
Yeah.
So I mean, the rich people I know do have a lot of non-traditional like assets and investment vehicles like art. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, because you would never walk into somebody's house, at least in the economic class that I grew up in, and say, "Wow, I really like your piece of art here. Like that's definitely worth a lot of money." I have almost never been in someone's house where I've noticed that or seen it. But the more money you have, the more that's going to happen because one, you're going to buy them because they're decorative, and then all of a sudden they go up in value, so it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
right?
I think I'm not sure how it works. It's also a tax haven. some sort?
It may
Tax.
be. I'm not sure how you pay. I guess you don't technically pay gains unless you sell the art. So like you might be gaining money every single year.
Wait,
and,
if you
and you don't sell it, so you don't have to pay taxes on that income. So you might triple your net worth in a year and never pay $1 because it's in art.
So scary.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Possibly. Yeah, I know that stuff. Like that
Everyone knows it exists.
Yeah, that topic has been battered
Yeah.
over and over so many times. I'm not even like, let's like talk about something that's like, dude, like that topic has been talked about so many times by so many people. Like we get it. Rich people use art to pay less taxes. That's it.
The problem was I never was a rich person, and I never cared to know. But now I'm.
Yeah. I don't. Is it even legal to say you use art to pay less taxes? I don't even think that's a legal thing.
You can say whatever you want. I have 3 businesses, so I technically pay less taxes. Right? It's great, but it doesn't mean that I did anything illegal. I'm legally using my businesses, and I wind up at the end of the day paying less taxes on my personal income. I pay taxes on the business, but on my personal income every single year, I wind up having expenses that sometimes bleed into my personal like money. So yeah, so I have a real estate business, right? It doesn't mean I'm doing anything illegal.
I'm saying like, what are the legalities behind owning art?
Well, I don't think when we're saying you pay less taxes, I don't think we're saying like, hey, I smuggled money into a different country. It's I pay less taxes because I plant my money somewhere and it's a little bit more illiquid. So because of the illiquidity, you just pay less taxes. So you're growing in value, right? Like the same way, like another thing that I actually thought was super interesting, we can stay on this, I guess, money topic, right? Another thing that the super rich do, super rich, right? Hundreds of millions of dollars. Everyone wants to know how they spend all their money. And then a lot of people misinterpret that $198 billion, like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. Now this is something that we understand. They don't have that money, right? They're just worth that money because they own those companies. Jeff Bezos pays himself $85,000 a year, right? And probably gives away most of it. If Jeff Bezos wants to buy a $5 million house or a $2 million car, how does he do it, right? And I was fascinated by this. So I heard Elon Musk say this once, and then I heard this on like a business news podcast. Like it came out, they were coming out in the open. So you have $198 billion, right? I go to the bank and say, can I get a loan? They say, how much? $3 billion. And they're like, yeah, sure. You got 198. If you want, you just sell your Amazon stock to me. And all of a sudden now, he has more spending money than anyone in the entire world, right? So like, what do? You do whatever you want, and then Amazon goes up by 0.5%.
Yeah.
You liquidate and you sell.
Yeah.
You buy back your loan.
Yeah.
So these guys don't need to make income,
Yeah.
right? They're at all.
Yeah.
And then everyone wants to know, like, oh, how do you do this? What are you doing this? Like, first of all, they're in a different stratosphere as a human being in general, but they don't spend and make money the same way. Like when you get into the 9-figure net worth, even probably the 8-figure net worth, like if I had $30 million and I wanted a $6 million loan, nobody would ever bat an eyelash. And I would be able to pay that back within 2 years. Nobody would ever look at me twice. So all of a sudden, I don't make that much money. I'm just worth $30 million. I have whatever I want.
Yeah.
So that was fascinating to me. Like,
Yeah.
but most people don't know that, right? Like,
okay.
Most people don't. Like, I didn't know up until a year ago. I always questioned it.
You didn't know high net worth people, ultra high net worth people get free money from banks? You didn't know this yet? They don't get free money. They get money easily because they can pay it back easily. There's no harm to the bank.
No. Yeah,
you know what
I
I'm saying?
agree.
So it's like, I think that's pretty common knowledge. I guess people who are like really not into this stuff wouldn't know. I feel like you knew this stuff. You're just invigorated.
Intuitively, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when someone says it, it's like, well, that's exactly
It's
how
crazy.
it was like I thought that this is what happened, and now I know for a fact this is how they do it.
Of course,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
Of course, dude.
yeah.
Like the top real estate investors, they'll get money from banks so easily.
Yeah,
Not they're all, like they'll just get straight up bank money because in 30 years, 10, 20 years time, they'll get that money back anyway.
So there are actually institutions, right? Now this is from my experience in real estate. So I've been very actively looking for like an investment property. Either I'm going to live in it for a year, right, and I'm going to rent out half of it, or I'm going to buy a building and then just keep renting. But there are institutions, I don't even want to call them banks, that if my business plan is to go and buy this house and rent it out, or buy this house and flip it, there are people who literally sit down all day, every day, and just give money to those investors and say, here's what we're gonna do. I'll give you a $400,000 loan. It's technically not a mortgage, right? Because this is not a bank, right? You're gonna flip this house. If the house is worth $300,000, you're gonna put $100,000 into it. It's $500,000. We want $50,000 by the end of the first year, or you have to pay back your whole loan. So what do? You flip the house, you take your 50, they get their 50, and technically, you didn't spend a single dollar of your own money.
Yeah.
It's crazy. There are and those are people like me. I'm not ultra high net worth, right? I couldn't even say I have a high net worth compared to like more normal people. But there are institutions dedicated to giving people basically free money, but it's free because you don't have to put up collateral to get it, but you have to pay when you profit.
Yeah. Well, you always have to pay it back.
Yeah.
When you say free, it's really easy for these people to get money because they have a reputation.
Yeah.
They have a reputation where they can pay it back relatively easily.
Yeah.
So they'll get cheap money.
Yeah.
Let's just say cheap money because they can pay back. They have the reputation to pay back relatively easily. That's all it is, and that's been going on forever.
But there's another thing that I learned recently, right? Is that somebody who, I mean, this can go for anyone who kind of lives ultra debt-free type of lifestyle, but especially with these higher net worth people, they don't have credit scores. Like, it's not a thing. Like, Elon Musk doesn't like buy a house and say, check my credit score.
Of course not.
Like, people, and this goes for anyone. Like, if I had no debt for 10 years at all, and I just kept building up a savings account, if I went to go buy a house, you would check my credit and I wouldn't have one.
Yeah, man.
I would just pay for it.
Yeah, when you're
So you get to the point where the credit score, it kind of only matters for people who like need to only loan a little bit of money.
That's the point of the credit score.
Crazy.
No, the point of the credit score is for people who aren't rich. That's the whole
Yes,
point.
that's crazy.
No, but that's
crazy.
the whole point. So like when you're really rich, you don't need the credit score because you can pay it back.
Yeah,
The whole point of the credit score is like, hey, we're losing a lot of money
We
to
don't know if
people
we
who
trust
can't.
you to
We don't
pay
know.
back.
Yeah. The whole point of the credit score is reputation. When when you're really rich, you already have the reputation because you have so much money.
Yeah.
You don't need the reputation anymore. Credit score is a way of automating and standardizing reputation.
So you got to get rich and a little famous, build up your own reputation, and then the bank's like, oh, I know this guy.
When you have $30 million in your bank account, you
No
don't
one cares.
need fame.
No one cares.
People are like, oh, you have 30 million.
Yeah.
They're just. It would be stupid not to work with them.
Yeah.
It would be stupid not to offer them something to work with them because they have so much cash that can long term be given to you. You got to create systems and products and services
And it's not
to
even
get
the
them.
and it's not even the track record as much as it is the track record of like paying back your debt. It's like, okay, this guy just knows how to make money. Like, period.
Yeah.
Or like, okay, he knows how to make money. That means I'm gonna get more
Yeah.
money. That means he's gonna get more money, and he's gonna
Yeah.
get more money. All right, let's give him some money.
Yeah, that's the whole point. The credit score is to automate and standardize your financial reputation. When you're ultra high net worth, you don't need a
already
standardized like, oh, your financial reputation is extremely high. We don't need an arbitrary number to like tell you how good your financial rep is. You know, once you're in the deck of millions, it's like you had to do something to get here. You know what I'm saying? Or you inherited it. And so, like, you inherit the financial reputation. But there's a lot of social aspects into this where the banker has to figure out, is this person still trustworthy? Is his dad rich or mom rich? Can I trust him? Is he responsible? So there's still a big social component. But when you're up there in the deck of millions, there's different games. You know, you don't talk to a banker on the phone. You meet with them in real life. It's a different language. It's a different game.
Well, going back on that exactly where you're like saying, oh, hey, is your mom, dad are rich, or is your uncle rich and he gave you some money? In real estate, I never realized how strict that system was.
Yeah.
Like, if you go and buy a house, right? And this goes for anybody, right? And this is a little bit of a teaching, a little bit of a lesson for everyone. If you go and buy a house and your parents gave you a gift, let's say of like $200,000,
Yeah.
right? Everyone thinks it's not a big deal. Oh, my parents gave it to me. Okay, whatever. If you go to the bank and it's not matured, meaning it's less than 60 days old, nobody knows how you got the money, and they will refuse to give you a mortgage.
Yeah.
And like, I've seen it now because we've had so many buyers in this last year where people are like, yeah, I got a great down payment. Okay, where'd you get it? Well, it doesn't matter. No, it does. And then they want to go through with their deal anyway. They want to put an offer on the house, and everyone like, all right, this is a great deal. Of course I'll take your deal. The bank comes back and says, no, sorry, like, I have no idea where you got this money. So that is, and I mean, for a new home buyer, right, this is more of a lesson, right? If you've already bought a house, obviously you know how this goes. But if anyone gave you money, if you take money from your own business, for instance, and you pay yourself a lump sum of 60 grand and it's not matured, they don't want it.
Everybody likes to villainize the banks.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, man.
No,
First of
I
all,
don't
you
think
know,
the banks are the problem,
there's
no.
many bankers who have been caught doing X, Y, Z, you know. But everybody likes to villainize the banks. Do you know how hard it is to trust people with like money?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
dude, can you imagine how many people in a day lie to a bank?
Everyone.
You could probably, yeah, like the vast majority of people or a lot of people probably lie to banks all the time. So everybody likes to villainize the banks. It's like, man, you gotta be tough if you're giving people money, man.
Yeah.
For people who disagree, since you were a child, whenever you gave somebody money,
True.
always problems.
Yeah.
Always problems. The last time like I gave somebody money, I gave somebody like a $20 bill because they gave me like, oh, we were at a restaurant and I gave somebody $20. Like, I don't want to do that. So now we're eating. Can you just give me the change back after we're done eating? Because I didn't need to give her the full $20. I need to give her like $5-6. So I would like that $15 back. It's not a big deal, but you know, give me the $15 back after we're done eating. Guess what? The person forgot to give me the $15 back. No, that's not a crazy thing. It's only $15. But like, why is there always problems when you give somebody money? Always. Ever since you were a kid, you give somebody money, problem. And that's why I like that scene in The Bronx Tale, you know, where he like, dude, everybody can relate to that scene. Because whenever you give somebody money, there's always problems. 99% of the time, there's a problem.
So the best way that I've noticed to swap money with people in that way, and this is, I think, why Venmo and Cash App are amazing.
Yeah.
Because like, all right, I just send you exactly what I need to send you.
Yeah.
Game over. All right, I might spend a little bit more over the course of my life using only credit cards, but so hold on, let me finish, right? So what I noticed with money exchanges the only people I now exchange money with are the people that if I pay for something for you, you don't owe me money. You owe me that same service later on, regardless of the cost, right? Because I know what I'm willing to pay, right, for this person to eat or for this person for a drink. If I wasn't willing to pay for them, I just would not. Because then it's like, okay, you owe me $5, you owe me $3. Like, hey, it's $5, I'm willing to do this for you. And then the next time, I know they're good enough people, without even saying anything, yo, I got you. Hey, I'm gonna pay for you. Those are the people that I like hanging out with, right? So it's like, or not even like I like hanging out with, that I'll do anything money related with. And sometimes those people are your family, sometimes they're not your family, sometimes they're your friend. But one of my close friends, like you know him by name, Albin, if I go to eat with him, like there are times where I just know I'm not paying.
Yeah.
And there are times where he knows he's not paying because it's an even exchange.
Yeah.
And those are the only people I will give money. The people where I know they're ready to give money back.
I disagree. I think Albin is a monster that can't be trusted. But here's the thing. Dude, even if when I bought somebody like Chipotle's and I'm like, yo, Venmo me, exchanging money, I use it as a huge signal to me. If I give you money, I know you're always going to give it back. If I give money to a person and they don't give it back because of things like the Bronx Tale that like educated me relatively well, I will literally just be like, this is a signal that the person is a little careless.
Or the last time I'll ever give that person
Exactly.
anything.
It's worth losing $20 to understand if a person can be trusted with money.
I agree.
So if you bought somebody food and you ask them to Venmo you, and you have to tell them to Venmo you more than one time, the person is careless about you.
Not even money. Just
you are not top of mind to them. They do not have that respect for you. So last time I bought somebody Chipotle, I asked them to Venmo me, right? I asked them twice to Venmo me. They never Venmo'd me.
Chipotle for like $14.
Yeah. But let me tell you what happened. So I understand the person is careless about me. He does not have he does not have a high level of respect for me. But guess what? His friend who overheard me said, I know this person, I'm going to pay you for him. This person overheard and paid me money for him. That's how respectful.
The biggest problem now that I know who it is with this person is that I know he makes a lot of money.
he makes a
good
lot
enough of money.
Yeah,
Good
he
enough,
makes like a healthy 5-figure, maybe low 6-figure salary.
Yeah.
It's not about money. It's
No, it's
about
not.
respect.
Yeah.
It's about empathy. And said person, I asked him twice, yo, can I get paid for the Chipotle I got you? We're not even friends like that. We're not even boys like that.
I don't think I'll ever go out with you again so you can pay for me.
It's like, come on, man. It's just, I asked you twice. Where's your respect, bro?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about the money. It's about respect. And so the person who overheard paid for him because that person has empathy and respect. I can tell you his name, but afterwards. But the thing is, like, come on. If you have to tell a person more than once to pay you back, trust me, they're not top of mind.
I think if you have to tell a person more than once to do something that you believe, like if you're asking someone to do things for you all the time, okay, fine, they don't do them, like it might be annoying, like, hey, you're not my boss. But if you have a mutual understanding of like what's going on in a certain situation, and you ask someone to do something in general, and they don't do it, that's the same type of indication that like, okay, you might be disrespectful, but what I will say, so this is completely off topic to this character trait. That character trait is something that I've always said that I had, right? I always, as a human being, I empathize with other human beings because I know exactly how it feels to not be paid back money or